So today, we'll be going over every deck in Hunter x Hunter Volume 2 for Union Arena. So notably for the English release of this set, we are getting 4 new cards that are not available in the Japanese release. They are the 3 cost 1 action point Killua, the 2 cost 1 action point Gon, the 1 cost 1 action point Illumi, and the 4 cost 1 action point Kurapika. And next we'll be going over the new decks of the new color, yellow. So the first deck we'll be going over is the Yellow Friends deck, and we'll be going over key cards for this deck. The most notable card for this deck is the 4 cost 1 action point Gon that says raid during your opponent's turn if on the front line. If Killua and Hisoka are on the same line, this character gains 2000 BP, bringing it up to 6000 from 4000. Also when attacking, if Killua is on the same line, this character gains 1000 BP and impact 1 until the end of the turn. So basically, it becomes a 5000 BP character with impact 1 when attacking. The next card is the 6 cost 1 action point Hisoka that says if on the front line, Gon, Killua, and Hisoka cards on your field gain during your opponent's turn, your opponent cannot choose this character with abilities on characters or event cards unless they place 1 card from their hand into their sideline as an additional cost. This Hisoka ability does not stack, and this character has an impressive 4500 BP with an active trigger. And now we have our 3 cost 1 action point Killua that says raid, step. Also activate main if on the front line, switch to resting, choose 1 Gon on your field. It gains damage +1 until the end of the turn. If this character was played this turn, the chosen character may gain snipe instead. And this character has 3500 BP. And our next card is effectively the new card that is only available in the English release, which is our 3 cost 1 action point Killua. And he says, activate main once per turn. You can only activate this ability if Gon is on your front line. Choose one of your characters on the other line from this character and swap it with this character. If you do, this character gains 2000 BP until the end of the turn. This is a 2 energy generator, which is important because you can effectively use it as energy first. And then when you're done playing your cards for the turn, you can bring it up by swapping. And then it would gain 2000 BP, bring it up to 4000 BP from 2000, and can be an effective attacker when needed. And now we have our special of the deck, which is 5 cost 1 action point. The win must be flawless, right? That says choose 1 character with 5000 or less BP on your opponent's front line and switch it to resting. If you have 3 or more Razor attack team affinity cards on your field, sideline it instead. If Hisoka is on your front line, your opponent's when blocking and nullify impact abilities do not activate this turn. So this is a very cheeky little card, since it can negate your opponent's ability to prevent you from winning the game if you have impact on your field. And now we have our 1 cost 1 action point back. You cannot use this card if you have back card in your sideline. If this card would be placed into your sideline besides when using it from your hand, place it into your removal area instead. Play up to 1 Razor attack team affinity or Razor card with fulfilled required energy and 1 AP cost from your sideline set to resting onto your field or perform raid with it. So this is why we're only playing 1 of this in the deck, because if you happen to have 1 in the sideline, you cannot use this card. And now we have our second deck of the yellow color, which is the Yellow Razor deck, and we'll be going over the key cards for this deck. So the main card of the deck is the 5 cost 1 action point Razor that has raid, nullify impact. Also when played, choose up to 1 character on your opponent's front line with BP equal to or less than 1000 multiplied by the combined total number of Nen Beast affinity cards and face down cards under characters on your front line and sideline it. So what are these Nen Beast affinity cards? We'll be looking over those in a second. So this is one of the Nen Beast cards, which is the 0 cost 1 action point Razor's Nen Beast. So funny enough, you can actually have more than 4 copies of this card. You can have up to 14 copies of this card. So by doing so, we're playing only 12 copies because that's all you need. Effectively, this would be your only 0 cost card in the deck. This card says during your turn, this character gains 1000 BP for each face down card under it. Also when sideline, you may place this card face down under another Nen Beast affinity card on your field. And this card has a baseline of 1500 BP. And our next card is the 4 cost 2 action point Razor that says when blocking, if your opponent's attacking character has impact, this character gains 2000 BP until the end of the turn, so it goes up to 6000 from 4000. Also when played, you may sideline 1 Nen Beast affinity card on your field. If you do, choose up to 1 character on your opponent's front line and switch it to resting. It will remain set to resting the next time it will be switched to active. Choose up to 1 of your AP cards and switch it to active. And now we have our 2 cost 1 action point Dodgeball Court. That is a site that says play this site active onto your field. Also activate main, switch to resting. Place 1 Nen Beast affinity card from your sideline face down under a Nen Beast affinity card on your field. Also activate main, switch to resting. Place 1 card from your hand into the sideline. Pay 1 AP. Play 1 Nen Beast affinity card from your sideline set to resting onto your field. So this card is effectively a great engine card since it allows you to set up your combos. And now we have our 3 cost 1 action point Razor that says Nullify Impact. Also activate main if on the front line once per turn. You may sideline 1 Nen Beast affinity card on your field. If you do, draw a card and give this character 1000 BP until the end of the turn. So it goes up to 4500 from a baseline of 3500. And we also have our other Nen Beast card, which is number 13, 3 cost 1 action point. That says during your turn, this character gains 1000 BP for each face down card under it. Also, when played, place up to 1 Nen Beast affinity card from your sideline face down under this character. So more than likely when you play it, it will be a 4000 BP character on your turn, going up from a baseline of 3000 BP, and this card generates 2 energy. So our next deck is one of the blue decks, which is the Specified Slots deck. So this is a deck that was available in Volume 1, but it definitely gets a bit of a boost after Volume 2. So we'll be going over the key cards. So one of the most important cards is a 4 cost 1 action point Gone that says activate main if on the front line once per turn, reveal any number of cards in your hand, activate all abilities listed below if you have the required number of specified slot affinity cards with unique names among the revealed cards and on your field. So for 3 or more unique specified slot affinity cards, you get to draw a card, and 4 or more, this character gains impact 1 until the end of the turn. And this card has 4000 BP. So what is most crucial about this card is that this is a repeatable effect that you can activate on the same turn that it is played. So if this card survives the turn, you can effectively draw a card every turn, which is insanely strong. And this card is notably also not a raid card, so you don't need to use any resources to be able to use this effect. So what are the specified slot affinity cards? We'll be going over them next. We have our 3 cost 1 action point Strip of Beach. That is a site that says a deck can only contain up to 3 copies of this card. And when you have this card in play, your maximum hand size now is 15 cards. And this is great because it allows you to keep cards in hand to activate cards that require unique names in your hand. And also when played, draw a card, and this card generates 2 energy. And now we have one of the new cards, which is the 2 cost 1 action point Blue Planet that says when played, draw a card, but also activate main, switch to resting 1 active Bisky on your field. If you do so, return this card to your hand. And this card has a draw trigger and generates 1 energy. So why would you want to return it to your hand? Well, basically, it allows you to replay its when played ability to draw a card. And then we have our 3 cost 1 action point Risky Dice that says play this site active onto your field. Activate main, switch to resting, choose 1 character on your field. Then reveal the top card of your deck. If the revealed card has 2 or more required energy, add it to your hand and give the chosen character 1000 BP until the end of the turn. If the revealed card has 1 or less required energy, sideline the chosen character and place the revealed card on the top of your deck. So for the purpose of this deck, it's mainly to be used as a unique name. But if you're able to know beforehand what the card on the top of your deck is, you can effectively draw a card every turn. And now we have our 5 cost 1 action point Angel's Breath, which says a deck can only contain up to 3 copies of this card. Play 1 character card with fulfilled energy requirement and 1 AP cost from your sideline set to resting onto your field, or perform raid with it. So notably, this is a special trigger. So you can only have 4 total copies of special triggers in your deck. For the purpose of this card, it's mostly used as a unique name, but if needed, it can be used for its effect. But usually you want to keep it in your hand to be able to trigger our abilities for unique names, but we have other cards that can bring it back from the sideline as needed. And then we have our 2 cost 1 action point Paladin's Necklace, which is an event card that says choose 1 rated card on your field or your opponent's field and place its top rated card into its owner's sideline, draw a card. So remember how this works for strip effects. Basically, the card is placed into the sideline, so that would not trigger any when sideline abilities. And also the base card underneath it will retain the rested or unrested state of the card before it was stripped. And then we have our 4 cost 1 action point Killua. That is a raid card that says when attacking once per turn, reveal any number of cards in your hand. Activate all abilities listed below if you have the required number of specified slot affinity cards with unique names among the revealed cards and on your field. So for 2 or more, draw a card. And for 4 or more, this character gains damage 2 until the end of the turn. So this is also a very strong card since every turn when attacking, once per turn, you can draw a card. And now we have our 4 cost 1 action point Gone. That is a raid card that says when played, reduce the AP cost of the next specified slot affinity card you use from your hand this turn by 1. Which is great to tempo out a card onto the field. But also when sideline, add up to 1 specified slot affinity card from your sideline to your hand. And this card has 4000 BP. So the second when sideline ability is great when you have used one of the cards that you only have 1 copy of. to be able to keep fueling your synergy cards that require unique names. And now we have a 3-cost 1 action point gone. That is the Searcher of the deck that says when played, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 specified slot affinity card among them and add it to your hand. Place the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. And this card is 3000 BP. And also we have our 2-cost 1 action point gone, which is a new card for the English release that says when played, draw a card, then place 1 card from your hand into your sideline. But also most importantly, when attacking, reveal any number of cards in your hand. This character gains BP equal to 500 multiplied by the number of specified slot affinity cards with unique names revealed and on your field until the end of the turn. So basically you just need 3 in hand or on the field to be able to go up to 4000 BP from a baseline of 2500 BP. And now we have our Blue Bomber deck, which is a Volume 1 deck that got some small boost from Volume 2. I'll be going over the key cards of the deck. So the main card of the deck is of course the 4-cost 1 action point Genthru that says when played, reveal the top card of your deck. If the revealed card has 2 or more required energy, choose up to 1 character with 3000 or less BP on your opponent's front line and sideline it. Place the revealed card on the top or bottom of your deck, and this card has 4000 BP. This card really needs to be comboed to be able to really sideline anything that is a threat, so we'll be going over cards that allow it to do so. And the main card that you want to combo with your Genthru is the 3-cost 1 action point Bara that says activate main if on the front line. Once per turn, reveal the top card of your deck. If the revealed card has 2 or more required energy, choose up to 1 character with 1500 or more BP on your opponent's front line. It loses 1000 BP until the end of the turn. Place the revealed card on the top or bottom of your deck. So this card has 3000 BP. So effectively every turn you can use it as a BP minus ability to allow you to effectively sideline any threats with your 4-cost 1 action point Genthru. And now we'll be looking at cards that allow you to manipulate the top of your deck to be able to fuel your combos. We have our 4-cost 1 action point Team Genthru, which says this card is also treated as Genthru. Also when played, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, place any number of them on the top of your deck in any order, then place any remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. And this card has 4000 BP, so this is a new card in Volume 2. And also we have our 0-cost 1 action point Sub and Bara. You may treat this card as if its required energy is 2 while in your deck, so that's great for our combos. Also when played, look at the top card of your deck, then place it on the top or bottom of your deck. And also we have our 2-cost 1 action point Gorenu that says activate main, switch to resting, look at the top card of your deck, then place it to the top or bottom of your deck. And also we have our 1-cost 1 action point Genthru that says when played, look at the top card of your deck, then place it on the top or bottom of your deck. And now we have our 3-cost 1 action point Risky Dice, which is a specified slot card. We've already went through this card, but it's more important in this archetype since we're more able to manipulate the top of our deck to be able to pull off its draw ability. And of course, don't forget that this will also pump your card by 1000 BP, which can be relevant since a lot of our cards have 3000 BP. And this card being a specified slot card is also important because we will also be playing the 4-cost 1 action point Gone that we went through. And this card, remember, when silent, can pull back a specified slot card from your sideline to your hand. And it also, when played, reduces the AP cost of the Risky Dice, so you'll be able to set up your combos faster. And then we have our green Kurapika deck, so this is definitely a heavy hitter from Volume 1, and it gains just a few cards to be able to boost it a little bit more. But we'll be going over the key cards of this deck in case you forgot. So the main heavy hitter of the deck is the 7-cost 1 action point Kurapika that has Impact 1, but also when played, choose one of the following, choose up to 1 character on your opponent's front line and switch it to resting. So you most likely not be using this one, you'll be using the other effect, which is this character gains Snipe until the end of the turn. And also don't forget, this character has 5000 BP. And one of the new cards in Volume 2 is the 1-cost 1 action point Kurapika, that is vanilla, that with 2500 BP. So notably, this card is not that strong in a vacuum, but it allows you to really curve better, which was one of the weaknesses of the deck, while still being a target for your raids and your specials. And then we also have a new card that is unique to the English meta, which is the 4-cost 1 action point Kurapika that says activate main, place 1 card from your hand into your sideline. Once per turn, this character generates energy even if it's on the front line until the end of the turn. So a great ability to get you to that 7 energy as needed. Also when attacking, if you have 6 or more energy generation, draw up to 1 card. So basically, even if you're at 5 energy, you should pitch a card since it will bring you up to 6, and then when attacking, you can draw that card back. And this card has an active trigger with 4000 BP. And now I'll be looking at a new archetype created from Volume 2, which is the Green Friends deck. And we will be looking over key cards for this deck. So one of the new cards in Volume 2 is the 4-cost 1 action point Gone that says this character gains all abilities listed below if you have the required number of cards with unique card names on your field among the following: Killua, Kurapika, and Leorio. So for 1 or more, during your turn, this character gains 1000 BP, bringing it up to 5000 from 4000. 2 or more, Impact. 3 or more, when played, you may pay 1 AP. If you do, switch this character to active. So if you get all the effects, it becomes an active 5000 BP character with Impact 1. And then we have another new card, which is a 4-cost 1 action point Kurapika. And similar to the previous card, this character gains all abilities listed below if you have the required number of cards with unique card names on your field from among the following: Gon, Killua, and Leorio. So for 1 or more, when played, choose up to 1 character with 2500 or less BP, or Phantom Troop Affinity on your opponent's front line and switch it to active. Quite a flavorful effect. Also, 2 or more, when attacking, draw a card, then place 1 card from your hand into your sideline. And this card has 4000 BP. So one of the cards from Volume 1 that gains a bit more utility in this version of the deck is the 4-cost 1 action point. And it's really funny how simple this effect is, especially compared to all the new effects we have now. So this card simply says, raid when played, also when attacking. Choose up to 2 characters on your field. They each gain 1000 BP until the end of the turn. And this character has 4000 BP. So this card can either pump itself or pump other cards that will gain additional effects, as we will see next. So we have our 3-cost 1 action point Gone that says if this character has 4000 more BP, it gains Impact 1, and it starts off with 3000 BP, so it just needs to be pumped up once to be able to gain Impact 1. And also we have our 3-cost 1 action point Killua that says this character is not affected by BP reducing abilities. Also activate main once per turn. If this character has 4000 or more BP, switch it to active. Also activate main, switch to resting, choose up to 1 character with 1000 or more BP on your opponent's front line. It loses 1000 BP until the end of the turn. And we also have our 4-cost 1 action point Leorio that says once per turn, when this character attacks and is not blocked, draw a card. Also activate main, pay 1 AP. This character gains 1500 BP and Impact 1 until the end of the turn. So notably, this character starts at 3500 BP. So this card really needs to be pumped up at least once to be able to be considered a threat, so that your opponent will consider either blocking or not, which will allow you to draw a card if this character is not blocked. And now we'll be going over the purple decks, which the first one is the purple Zoldyck deck. So this is a Volume 1 deck that got some small additions in Volume 2. So we're looking at the key card of this deck, which is the 5-cost 1 action point Illumi. That is a raid card that inherently has damage too, but also when played, choose up to 1 of your opponent's characters. You gain draw 2 cards if the chosen character is sidelined until the end of the turn, and this character has 4000 BP. So how you want to set up the combo is you want to be able to pick an opposing character that you're able to actually sideline this turn, and be looking over ways to do that shortly. But notably, we have a new card in the English meta, which is the 1-cost 1 action point Illumi, that says when this character is raided, choose up to 1 character on your opponent's field. You gain, if the chosen character is sidelined, draw a card until the end of the turn. And notably, resolve the raided character's when played abilities and this ability in any order, and this card has 2000 BP. When you use this card as raid fodder for your 5-cost Illumi, you can effectively pick 2 cards, one when sideline draws 2 and one that sidelines draws 1, or you can stack them so that if you sideline 1 card, you'll be able to draw 3 cards. So ways to be able to sideline cards that you've chosen with the Illumi are notably the special of your deck, of course, which is the 4-cost 1 action point Dragon Head, that is able to sideline an opposing card with 5000 less BP if you have 3 or more Zoldyck family affinity cards on your field. But also we have our 4-cost 1 action point Xeno that says activate main if on the front line, switch to resting. Choose 1 character with 4000 or less BP on your opponent's front line and sideline it. Place this character into your removal area, and this card has 3500 BP. So notably, this card takes a bit of time to set up since you can't use it on a turn it's played because it will be still rested. But when you have it in play, it can definitely be a consistent way to be able to sideline cards that you chose with the Illumi. And now we have our 2-cost 1 action point Killua that says when played, choose up to 1 character on your opponent's front line. It loses 1000 BP until the end of the turn. So note that if you're able to bring a card's BP down to 0, it will be considered when sidelined. So you can choose a small card with the Illumi, and if you're able to stack enough BP minus cards on it, you can sideline it. And we have our 4-cost 1 action point Illumi. That is a new card that says when played, if you have 3 or more other Zoldyck family affinity cards on your field, choose up to 1 character on your opponent's front line. It gains 1000 BP, and this character must block your opponent's attacks if able until the end of the turn. And this card has 4000 BP and is the new color trigger of the deck. So effectively, if you chose a small card with the raid Illumi, you can pump it up by 1000, which ideally should be a threshold that you can knock over, and that card is forced to block. So if you're able to win the battle, that card will be considered sideline, and that will trigger your Raid Illumi's ability to draw 2 cards. And now we have our 3-cost 1 action point Killua. That is a raid card that says during your turn, this character gains 500 BP, so it goes up to 4,000 from 3,500. Also activate main if on the front line once per turn. Choose one of your opponent's characters. If the chosen character is sideline or blocks this character's attack this turn, this character gains impact until the end of the turn. So this card is actually a key card in this deck despite only being 3 energy, because this is the only way this deck can gain impact to be able to finish games in the late game. And now we have our last purple deck, which is the purple Phantom Troop deck or the Chrollo deck, and we'll be looking over key cards of this deck. So one of the new cards of the deck is the 4-cost Flashpoint Chrollo with 3,500 BP. And this card says, when played, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Phantom Troop affinity card among them, and add it to your hand. Place the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. If you added a card to your hand, place 1 card from your hand into your sideline. If you placed a Phantom Troop affinity card with 3 or less card energy, other than Chrollo, into your sideline with this ability, this character may activate all of that card's when played abilities. So this is a card that basically allows you to duplicate one of your card's abilities, and it also allows you to set up your sideline to be able to reuse those abilities later on, as we will see in the next cards. And we have our card from Volume 1, of course, which is the 4-cost 1 action point Chrollo, that is Raid, and inherently has Impact 1. Also, when played, choose up to 1 character with Phantom Troop affinity on your field other than Chrollo and activate its when played ability. And this card has 4,000 BP. So these are the cards that we really want to be copying with our Chrollo abilities. So for example, we have our 3-cost 1 action point Nobunaga that says, when played, if you have 3 or more other Phantom Troop affinity cards on your field, choose up to 1 character on your opponent's front line. It loses 1,000 BP until the end of the turn. Also, we have our 3-cost 1 action point Franklin that says, when played, all characters on your opponent's front line loses 500 BP until the end of the turn. We also have our 2-cost 1 action point Shizuku that says, when played, draw a card. And we have our 0-cost 1 action point Finks that says, when played, draw a card, then place 1 card from your hand into your sideline. And we have our 3-cost 1 action point Shalnark that says, when played, play up to 1 character with 3 or less card energy, 1 AP cost, and Phantom Troop affinity other than Shalnark from your sideline set to resting onto your field. At the start of the end phase, sidelining that character. So this, similar to Chrollo, allows you to reuse your abilities, but can be found in the sideline instead. And then our special of the deck, which is the 3-cost 1 action point Skill Hunter, Bandit Secret, says choose 1 character on your opponent's front line. It loses 3,000 BP until the end of the turn. If Chrollo is on your field, choose up to 1 character with 3 or less card energy and Phantom Troop affinity on your field other than Chrollo and activate its when played ability. So notably, you will need to trigger BP minus ability of minus 1,000 to be able to knock out a 4,000 BP card on your opponent's field. Alright, thanks for watching, and like and subscribe for more videos.